Hey, gang, this is Andy with the Falco Canine Dog Talk at Falco Canine Dog Talk. And I just saw I have my my little mess here. Sorry about that. You're asking probably, how is it possible that you did not think about that whiteboard? Well, my camera wasn't brought up until that video ended, and now I see my stuff up there. Did you know in California you have a 0.03 chance of dying of COVID-19 right now? So sorry about that. And it will go down lower as soon as we start doing more testing. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject matter. And I'm sorry that that's up there, but I don't want to erase it while you all are watching because that would look really silly. What I do want to talk about, though, is during quarantine, I have had people adopt dogs from me during quarantine. And I've seen a lot of posts, I would say a lot of posts, where people have said, look at the new addition to our family, and they have this new dog and that kind of stuff. And I have a little bit of concern, and I am not a doom and gloom type of person. I look at things mostly in the positive aspect as possible, outlook as possible. And so, but I just am concerned that, you know, as we came into this quarantine and we're alone in our homes, or maybe, you know, two people in the homes, and you think we need to add something because this is kind of boring sitting here. And so let's go get a dog, right? There's going to be a possible issue. I've thought about this for days and days and days, and I want to make sure and find the right words, because I don't want you to be like, shoot, did we do the wrong thing? That's not what I'm saying. But remember that we're all going to go back to work and school someday, and we've now brought this dog who we're spending a lot of time with right now. Another person sent me a Facebook message in Messenger and brought up the aspect of you know, what's going to happen. You know, we have this dog, and now is the dog going to have a problem with us not being around? Because pretty soon we're not going to be around. And so there's two things that I'm concerned about. One is that now you're spending a lot of time with the dog, you're walking the dog, you're playing fetch with the dog, and you're able to spend time with the dog. But as you go back to work and other things, I want to make sure that you don't forget the dog. So there's that thing. What I would encourage many of you do, and this isn't because, you know, we have Falco Canine Orange County and we have our classes, our group classes and things that will soon go back into operation, that I'm not telling you this for business purposes solely in order to gain, you know, customers. But I would encourage you, whether you come to us or somebody else, is that you get into some group training program so that you can continue this this building of your relationship with your dog, not only when you're just home for the couple hours that now, you know, after this thing's over, that you're going to be home after school and after work, and then for a few moments in the morning, and then you're going to leave, is that you can continue to build this relationship and keep this relationship strong. Because like a marriage or a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship or engagement relationship, you know, there's this this honeymoon period, not only for people that are married, but for people that meet each other, that in the beginning, things are all really fun and exciting as you get to know each other and learn about each other's quirks. And in the beginning, those quirks are kind of interesting and fun. And then pretty soon those quirks, as you spend more time with that person, aren't as interesting and fun. And you're going, now the thing you loved is the thing you hate, right? But the beginning stages is all fun, right? We're all having a really good time, and you're able to spend time together and all that kind of stuff. And then pretty soon, you go back to work, you go back to school, you go back to, you know, other things that interest you, and then some things begin to struggle. That relationship begins to struggle a little bit. But the thing that you always have to remember is that you have to bring it back to a place of enjoyment. And that those places of enjoyment are going to be when you get out and go for a walk, when you go and spend time with your dog, when you join something together. That's why it's great, you know, as a couple to join, you know, still need a dog. All right, we're going to find one for you. I'm committed, or maybe I should be. Or maybe I should be. Yes, you should be committed. That's kind of funny. And so it really is important that you do adopt dogs from shelters. You do, you know, take these dogs into your home. But remember the thing that every shelter that I know of, and rescue, and even, you know, people that sell dogs, is that home has to be a forever home. Right? We don't want a temporary home. That's the thing that I'm most concerned about, that you're going to adopt a dog, bring it into your home during the quarantine because it makes you feel good. And then whenever this thing gets lifted, I'm hoping it's tomorrow, but if it's not tomorrow, if it's, May or June or whenever it is that now suddenly the dog becomes a burden, right? The dog was something that helped you get through the quarantine, but now that the quarantine's over, now the dog is a hassle, and you don't want that to happen, right? It may be too late. You've already adopted the dog, right? And so let's try to make that a forever home. The way you're going to do that is to continue the relationship in the next stage. There's many relationships that were great when you were dating, but when you got married, it all went horribly wrong. And then in a couple of months, a couple of years, you're divorced. It's because you didn't try to maintain what it is that got you in the relationship in the first place. How do you do that? You go out and have fun. You go on dates. You experience life. You go on vacation together. Maybe sometimes you do something separately, and then you come back and do things together. Whatever that is for that relationship, you got to maintain it, make it happen. But it's going to take somewhat of an effort, and that effort becomes more difficult, I think. And this is where I begin to think is when we're at work and at school, and now we have all these other responsibilities and the struggles that come with work and school. And we want to look towards our relationships. One of those relationships is with the dog that we brought into our life. The other thing, and this is going to be a very short Facebook Live, but I just want you to think, what is it you're going to do with that dog? So let me, before I leave that point, before quarantine ends, figure out what is going to be the plan that you're going to try to do and follow through with in regard to the dog you just adopted and spent time with, and continue that relationship with your dog, because this really is a relationship. I talk about it all the time. In the opening, you see, I bring up love and respect, right? Always bring up love. Those two things are super important for every relationship, including the relationship with the dog, right? A certain level of love, you can have too much love, really can have too much love. And I've seen it. Too much love causes, bad things to happen, aggression, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And this Facebook Live or this broadcast or this replay that you're watching would be way too long if I go into all that. But you have to have a very appropriate amount of love for the dog you have. I have 5 kids. Each child, I have to show my love in a little bit different way because if you show too much, it can get you into trouble. Again, this is a very complicated issue that I brought up for years. Those of you that have been around Falco Canine Academy for a very long time understand that I talk about that all the time, that I've told people, I go, you love your dog too much, right? You're so in love with your dog that you don't tell your dog no. You're so in love with your dog that you don't have discipline. You're so in love with your dog that you don't know any boundaries. You have not given your dog any boundaries because that love is getting in the way of your common sense for that dog. Well, how come my other dog I can do that with, but this dog is a big mess? It's because that dog you can love that much and it doesn't give you any problems. But this dog, you love this dog that as much as you love this dog in that way, in the way that you're showing your love, is inappropriate for this dog. This dog can't handle that. This dog needs more boundaries. This dog needs more rules and needs more discipline because of that dog, because of that breed, because of that dog's instincts, whatever it is in relation to that dog. It's separate and it's different. All right. Same thing with respect. The opening started and has respect in there. And it's has to go both ways. The dog has to have respect for you and you have to have respect for that dog. Right. How is that you're going to carry this over out of quarantine is going to be very different based on the dog you have, the breed you have, how much time away from home you're going to have from that dog. And so all that's got to be measured in as to what it is you're going to do with that dog. Some dogs need a lot of activity, right? They need a lot of running. They need a lot of time outside the backyard, outside the home, especially if you have a dog and you live in an apartment. That dog that you bought, unfortunately, is not a dog that can live in a small apartment without getting out and doing stuff, stimulating his brain. Remember that a dog burns more energy by thinking than it does by running. And so you may have to put in some really strong obedience routines for that particular dog to really burn some of that energy off, in addition to playing fetch and all the other things you're going to do. So understanding that as you move forward, what is it you're going to do? we're going to set aside, a couple hours on a Saturday morning before everybody wakes up, and we're going to go to Tri-City Park, which is the park that's just down the street from my house. You're going to go to Tri-City Park, and you're going to chase the ducks, and you're going to throw the ball, and I'm going to do obedience for 15 minutes. 15 minutes of obedience will sometimes burn a dog out completely and exhaust that dog and burn some of that energy off. And that's exactly what you need, so the dog does not get in trouble at home because he's bored to tears and now begins to eat something that he shouldn't eat. All right. There's other dogs that don't require that much activity. They're just they've been bred in a way that that dog is just a lap dog for the most part, and you don't need that much. But that dog still needs to be taken outside and shown what the world looks like outside of the four walls of your home. All right. So you want to be able to spend that time. The other thing that got brought up in this Facebook message that I got from somebody is that the concern that this dog may go through some anxiety. We have a customer that contacted me just the other day saying, my gosh, this dog that we got is so attached to me. When I leave to go to the store to go get groceries, the dog has a panic attack and is, chewing on its paws or destroying something, or whines and cries and doesn't stop, even though my wife and my kids are home. The dog, it's when I leave. The dog has grown this attachment, and so then we have to set in these rules and boundaries between that person and the dog, as opposed to the other person and the dog, two separate things, right? And so, this will get worse once quarantine is over. And so what you need to do is now build in the separation, the ability for the dog to handle the separation. You need to start building that in now, and not just, on the day that, your job opens back up and you go back to work, you can go back to the gym, you can go back to school, that day, all of a sudden now you're gone. Right. There are some dogs that will just who cares? I'm glad you're gone because you're a pain in my ass. Other dogs are going to go, where'd you go? I've just spent a month with you straight, and now all of a sudden you are gone. And so there's going to have to be, I think, a little bit of build up to that time that you're going to be gone. It's great that you can take the dog on a walk early in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. I have people that I see, I don't know. They may have walked 1,000 miles between quarantine start and now, because I see every time I look out my window, they're walking by. They're walking by the house. I go, wow, that neighbor is walking constantly. They really love walking. And I see people walking their dogs. Right. Every so often, you may want to go for a walk without your dog. Every so often, you may just leave the house for a little while, and again, just build in this activity, which is, for the dog, it's lack of activity, right? You're going to have to build the lack of activity for the dog. And that is that you leave and then you come back, leave and come back. And when you come back, you go, wow, hey, nice to see you, buddy. And then you spend some time with him, and then you leave for a little bit longer period of time. And then you come back, wow, nice to see you, buddy. And you build in the dog's ability to handle your, you leaving, handle your disappearance from the home. There's another word I can't think of it. You're not being present, right? So you need to probably build that in for some dogs. If you see a hint of separation anxiety in your dog as you leave, like he's became a little bit destructive while you're gone, you may need to start building up the ability to tolerance. There's one word I was looking for earlier. You need to build your dog's tolerance up of your separation from the home. That sounds so much better than what I said earlier. You need to build your dog's tolerance up as you begin the home. Super, super important. All right. If there's any questions, I see people commenting. As you're commenting, just tell me who you are. I recognize most of the names, but tell me where you're watching this, because again, we're broadcasting on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and Twitch. If you're watching this, whether you're watching the replay or the live version, please comment. The comments are a way that this video will get out and more people will be able to see it. So it really is. I appreciate it if you just simply comment, or you comment and you put one of those emotions on there, whether it's love or hate or love or cry or whatever it is. And so anything you can do to help push this out. Also, if you would share this message to people that that have just simply most recently, thank you, Jerry, for putting live. I appreciate that. Jerry Litt. I would love to have the last name Litt. Well, I'm not sure if maybe not. Because when people say I'm lit, it means that you've been drinking. But it seems like I would have fun with a name like that. I'm not But something is lit means that it's fantastic, right? Jerry's lit, like Jerry's a cool guy. So lit is a pretty cool, and it probably wasn't that cool. I mean, it was cool, but it probably isn't as cool as it is now, right? In the world today, being lit can mean two things, I guess. But when I say, if you're saying that you're talking about yourself, I'm so lit, it means that you've been drinking a lot. But if somebody says you're lit, can be both, right? It can be that you're happening or that you've been drinking too much. Hey, Bev, nice to see you. Jerry, what did he write here? Some shelters were empty during this pandemic, and I wonder the same what will happen when people have to leave the pup again for work and travel. Will the dogs get returned to the shelter? Again, I'm Jerry. That's definitely what I was thinking the other day, just because I was seeing so many messages of people getting dogs. And I just began to think, let's hope that they stay committed to their dogs as they move forward. So that's really what I want to say. I don't want to go too far because, again, I don't want to make this a negative thing. I am really appreciative of all the people that have adopted dogs out of the shelters and rescues and brought them into their homes. But I just want to make sure that it's forever, that it's not just temporary, a temporary relief, a temporary Band-Aid to your loneliness that will simply go away once you go back and start, engaging with people and going to work and to school and traveling. It's the other thing. One of the reasons I don't have a dog, and you're saying, Andy, the owner of Falco Canine Academy, who is an expert speaker on dogs and has written books on dogs, doesn't have a dog? No. Well, I do. I have a black lab right now that maybe I was trying to get Eileen to take this dog. Maybe this is a dog for her. It's a female dog that's a detection dog. That's I would make somebody make an offer on this detection dog would be, because what happened when the quarantine is over, there's a good chance that I will go back to traveling a lot. And that's the reason I don't have a dog, because what I'm telling you, I actually believe. I believe that I am not the proper currently, because I'm a single dad who travels a lot, that I am not an appropriate dog owner at this point. Do I love dogs? Yes. Have dogs changed my life? Yes. I have a dog tattooed on my shoulder, as you can see here, the dog that saved my life. I'm a lover of dogs. I love having dogs. I love having dogs around. I love training dogs and working with dogs. As a matter of fact, as a dog trainer, I prefer working with the dogs to sometimes the people other than Eileen and Jerry and other people that are watching, and Bev, right? The fact that I don't have a dog should tell you that I truly believe in what I'm telling you, is that I know that I don't have time for a dog. So it's something that's super important to me, that if you're going to have a dog, if you're going to adopt a dog and bring it into your life, that you make time for that dog, just like you make time for your spouse, just like you make time for your fiance, just like you make time for your boyfriend or girlfriend, just like you make time for your children. It would be so easy sometimes as a workaholic as I can be, to just simply work and say, you know what, ex-wife, take the kids. I'm busy working and traveling. That would be the simpler life, right? That would be the much simpler thing to do, work and travel. But I have young kids, a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 25-year-old. But that's not who I am. I am a father. Being a father means that I need to make time for my kids. I need to have the responsibility and uphold my responsibility to raise them to be proper human beings that will give something to this world now and as they get older. That is my responsibility. I brought them into the world. My responsibility is to make sure that they don't make the world worse, that they make the world better, right? So when you adopt a dog, it is your responsibility that you took the step to adopt that dog, that you train the dog, you care for the dog, that you love the dog, that you respect the dog, and you don't return the dog to the shelter, right? These are 5 or 6 of your responsibilities. I want you to maintain the relationship, and I don't want you to feel like the dog is a burden. How burden is when people stop spending time with the dog and stop working with the dog and stop stimulating the dog's brain, and the dog becomes a burden. The dog begins to get in trouble because he's bored to tears, and now he just pulled out your sprinkler system, or he just ate your air conditioning wires in the middle of summer and your air conditioning stopped working. That he he or she jumps in the pool and gets hair in your filter because the dog goes for a swim because you haven't taken the dog out to the beach or to the lake or to the river when you go out to the lake, the beach, or the river. And that's when the dog becomes a burden, right? That, again, this is your responsibility. The dog can't hop in the car and take himself to the beach to go, run around by himself. The dog can't jump on the bus to go, somewhere, Petco or PetSmart and go through all the toys and taste them and pick out his favorite toy. The dog cannot do that. You must do that. So before, if you now, those of you that have not adopted a dog, but you're thinking about it, I want you to do that, but do it knowing moving forward that you can't take the dog back, right? This is going to be very strange coming from a twice divorced man, is that you should not get married unless you're planning on being married for the rest of your life, right? That was my plan. It went horribly wrong. I feel bad about it. I did not hold up to those vows. Neither one of us did, not just me, right? I failed. Right? It's a failure. You don't want to be a failure. Here's something you have a really good control of, and that is being a success with dog ownership, understanding what the outcome is going to be. That dog to live with you until he dies, right? The dog should be able to live with you until he dies as close to natural as possible, because sometimes we have to put dogs down just because we have to put dogs down. That is sometimes also is our responsibility. But your responsibility is when you adopt a dog that he stays in your home forever, your job is to make that relationship work, but because the dog really can't. Right? The dog really can't. You're going to say, sometimes I hear people say, that dog, he hates me. That dog, is punishing me. There's all kinds of really weird things that I hear that people say about their dogs. Well, no, the dog doesn't think. I know that you want to think. The dog wakes up in the morning and goes, I'm going to see how I can really piss off my owner today. I am going to eat. I know what I mean. I'm going to scratch all the screens off the windows that are in the back of as I'm looking at the screen that has a big scratch on it. The dog, the dog didn't do it because he wanted to piss me off. The dog probably scratched the screen because he wanted to be with me, right? The dog scratched the screen because they wanted to be with me, because the dog missed me, because the dog had not had enough activity. The dog didn't scratch the screen and tear it off of the window because he was mad at me. I know people think that. Right? The dog ate this because he was mad at me. Probably not. I have a few stories where that may be true, but I'm just telling you, in most cases, the dog isn't doing it because he hates you or she hates you or dislikes you. The dog doesn't wake up in the morning and look for opportunity to piss you off. It's mostly up to you to make sure that those things happen. All right. So sorry, I went on a whole rant there. This was not supposed to go on this long. This was supposed to be really quick. Exactly my point about adoption and can take them back. Yeah, can't. Right? I think that's what you mean. Can't take them back. There's a T is missing. That's all. What if I pick the wrong one? Oh, that's a good. Thank you. That's a good one. That is a good one. That is good. Hold on. I'm going to come back to that. Yes, they do. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. And I still got to fill out that paperwork. I keep forgetting about your email. I'm so sorry, Scott. I do mean to open it up and actually do whatever it says in the email. I just, this homeschooling, the schoolwork has not been my friend. I love my kids but I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur and a teacher at the same time. That's not me. Yes, Kent. I thought so. All right. Just want to make sure. All right. This is a great thing right here. What if I pick the wrong one? Well, that does happen. So when people approach, and again, this wasn't really meant to go as long as it's going on, but I want to address this issue, is that early on there is an opportunity. Is that the right word? I think it might be. I think the first 2 weeks is the opportunity or the time for you to determine if the dog is a fit for your family. And in most rescues and in shelters, if you can make sure that is a good, that is a policy that they have, or if you have the ability to return the dog, that there's no buyer's remorse, right? We want to, that's not that. It's that you want to make sure that the dog is a good fit for your family. Understand that the true personality, the two the good behaviors and the bad behaviors really truly don't show up until after the first 2 weeks. And so you want to have about 30 days, a little window of about 30 days. All right. So then let me revise an earlier statement that after the 30 days, that dog is yours, because there is sometimes you'll get a dog that has maybe never showed any signs of aggression at the shelter or rescue, or even the people that owned it before he got the shelter and rescue. If they know the history of the dog, that the dog never showed that in that situation. But in this situation, in your home, the dog growls at one of the kids, it shows a behavior that's just not acceptable, that it just cannot be allowed to be in this home because it will never work, right? There's something in there, in that dog's brain or in his history or in his breed that doesn't fit into your circumstances. That is something that should be considered. And then you should be able to take the dog back and go to the shelter. Hey, listen, after 2 weeks, because this is when it happens, right? After a couple of weeks, the dog started to do this thing. Like, and their thing is, well, you get the dog trained. Well, not every aspect of a dog can be trained. Learned behaviors and trained behaviors can be altered and fixed. Genetics is very difficult. Sometimes you teach a dog to maintain that genetic thing that causes you grief. And you have to now learn how to understand how to manage that. Managing it is different than training a behavior and fixing a behavior. Two different things. So also brain quirks. There are some dogs that have little quirks that are psychological, that are not fixable. There we go. That are not fixable. Again, you have to just understand it and maybe manage it. And so there are some people that are not meant to be trainers. There's some people that just aren't meant to be trained. And that's one thing that I teach trainers all the time is understand you're not teaching somebody how to be a trainer. You're teaching them how to train their dog. You're teaching them how to live with their dog. You're teaching them how to manage their dog. You cannot teach most people how to be a dog trainer. All right. They don't want to be a dog trainer. They have no interest in being a dog trainer. Sometimes some trainers take the wrong tack. They're trying to teach a human being how to be a trainer of dogs. No, you need to teach somebody and help somebody and counsel somebody on how it is they live with the dog, what they have. Some of it is teaching them how to train that dog, right? Some of it is teaching them how to manage that dog. And some of it is teaching them how to manage the environment their dog lives in. Sometimes it's understanding that you need to alter the environment. It's like the one thing, a really easy one is that this dog cannot live with a hose in the backyard. Cannot live with a hose in the backyard. This dog will eat every hose, regardless of what we do, regardless if we use a shock collar, regardless if we use whatever means to teach this dog. This dog cannot live in the backyard with a hose, or else you're going to buy a hose every time you forget it in the backyard. Right? So that's managing the environment. You see what I'm saying? And so some dogs, you need to manage the environment. Wow, I went the whole thing. So thank you, Eileen, for bringing that up. Is that there is a period of time that you should be able to. I don't think that works. You should be able to have the ability to take that dog back if you find out that dog does not fit into your home. Last thing, and again, I'm going to add one more thing here, is that understand the breed before you get the breed. You don't get most people, I'm telling you right now, do not bring a Belgian Malinois into your home as a pet. Somebody goes, I have this great dog. What is it? It's a Belgian Malinois. And you say, oh, well, that's nice. In most cases, a Belgian Malinois does not fit into a home as a pet. In most cases, you people that have Belgian Malinois, don't get crazy on me. Or you may agree with me. Yes, I would not recommend a Belgian Malinois to most people. Most Belgian Malinois owners would agree with me that most people cannot have a Belgian Malinois. All right, I'm just telling you. So that breed is one of those breeds that you should look into and ask, hey, I have 2 kids, or, I'm 70 years old. Should I get a Belgian Malinois? No, probably not. You should. And so understand the breed before you get the breed. I'm a big triathlete. Should I get a Basset Hound? Not if you want the dog to be part of your triathlon, activities. Wrong dog. Get a different dog. All right. So you see what I'm saying? The breed that you may be attracted to may not be the breed that fits into your lifestyle. So understand that too. All right. I hope I didn't go too far and take it in too many directions. This doesn't make sense. I just want those of you that have adopted the dog to understand that things are going to change pretty soon. You're going to be back to work and back to school, and this dog you brought into your home cannot be forgotten about. And you should not take it back. As long as the dog is a healthy dog that fits into your home, as far as, your activity level and that kind of stuff, and has showed you that he loves you and cares for you and wants you to be its owner. You don't want to take that dog back. Right? You don't want to take it back. You want to figure out how it is that you can continue the relationship outside of quarantine. All right. I hope this all helped and made sense. I appreciate your time. How do you guys like my new intro? I'm going to play it going out. How do you like that? But if you have any questions, make sure and put them in the comments, and maybe we'll do another show. I know it's been a long time since I've done anything on Falco Canine Talk, but we're going to bring it back a little bit going forward as, I see a need. Based on the questions. I'm getting tons of dog questions since I've been in quarantine and email requests. And I'm sorry if I've not gotten to them all. Scott Dartnell, for sure. I will get to that email. I hope it's not too late, but I wish I had nothing. I have nothing but excuses. And the excuses are that it's just been a little bit over here with everything that's going on. I've been busier in quarantine than I'm out of quarantine. I can't wait for quarantine to get over so I can get some rest. All right. So that's it for me. I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting and sharing. Share this out to those people that you love that have dogs, that have gotten dogs during the quarantine, and maybe those that just got dogs recently for whatever reason. All right. Share it out so that maybe some of these issues that we bring up may strike a chord. Join our group training. It's a great place to be, to stimulate your dog's brain, to get you out with your dog and to spend some time with them. It doesn't mean joining a group training obedience thing doesn't mean that your dog is bad. It is a great thing to come to just to get your dog, around other dogs, around other people, stimulate his brain, tire him out on a Saturday or Sunday or Wednesday evening, whenever we're doing the classes. And it's just good. It's just good health. An hour, of time will exhaust your dog. You will be amazed at how exhausted your dog will be after a session of training with Falco Canine Academy. All right. We'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.